The clock in my car read 10:56 p.m. when I turned onto the narrow street. I wasn't supposed to be there yet. I was supposed to be at home, watching some pointless TV show, waiting for her call like a loyal dog. But instead, I was gripping the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles were white, feeling that strange, gut-churning pull to drive. It wasn't suspicion. Not really. More like this gnawing restlessness that had been growing for weeks, like I could sense something in the air. Every time Marissa went out lately, she came back with that fake, too bright smile, the one that didn't reach her eyes. When I reached the house, it looked like any other suburban party. A couple of cars out front, the faint sound of music, muffled laughter spilling into the night. Nothing unusual. I almost laughed at myself for thinking anything was wrong. I even reached for my phone to text her that I was there early, just to play the good guy role I always play. But then I saw her. Not through a window, not by accident. She walked right out the side door into the backyard. I could see her silhouette against the light. She wasn't alone. The guy with her was tall, wearing some cheap leather jacket, and his hand brushed against hers like it was the most natural thing in the world. Something inside me cracked right then. I didn't feel rage, not yet. Just this hollow, stunned confusion. My first thought wasn't even, is she cheating? It was, why am I sitting here, invisible, watching my own wife like some stranger? They stood by the fence, talking, and she laughed. This quiet, private laugh that I hadn't heard in months. I couldn't move. I couldn't breathe. My phone buzzed in my lap, a text from her. Don't come yet. Party's still going. Too late. I don't know what got into me, but I didn't stay in the car this time. I slipped out quietly, my feet crunching against the gravel like every sound was betraying me. The side gate was half open, and I could hear them talking now, softly, almost like a secret. I wasn't close enough to hear the words, but I didn't need to. The tone said everything. The way he tilted his head down when she looked up at him. The way she fidgeted with her hair like she used to when she was nervous but excited. It was the kind of body language you can't fake. I pressed my hand against the wooden fence, peeking through a crack. Marissa was smiling. Not the fake, tight-lipped smile she gives me when she's pretending she's fine. This one was warm, alive, like she'd been hiding this version of herself somewhere I didn't have access to. And then I saw it. He brushed her cheek with his hand. It was quick, but my stomach dropped like I'd been thrown off a cliff. For a second, I thought about barging in, yelling, demanding answers. But what would I even say? What if I was wrong? What if I was making it worse than it was? So I just stood there, my heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. I felt like I was split in two, one half screaming to walk away, the other half rooted to the ground like some pathetic statue. Then, she looked around, like she was checking if someone was watching, and her phone buzzed in her hand. She glanced at it and typed something quickly. My phone vibrated in my pocket at the same moment. I pulled it out. Come at midnight. Not yet. I almost laughed, but it came out like a cough. Not yet. Was this guy the reason she wanted me late? I wanted to throw my phone against the wall, but I couldn't move. I stayed there, watching them, until they started walking back toward the house. I panicked and ducked behind the gate as if I was some intruder. I walked back to my car, my mind spinning. I didn't know what I was going to do, but I knew I couldn't just sit there like nothing was wrong. Something inside me snapped in that moment. I wasn't going to wait for midnight anymore. I walked back toward the house, but I wasn't thinking straight. My head was buzzing like a hive of angry bees. Every step felt heavier, like I was about to cross some line I couldn't come back from. I didn't care if she'd get mad for showing up early. I didn't care if I looked like a fool. Something deep in my gut told me I needed to see with my own eyes what was happening behind those walls. When I reached the front door, I could hear the music clearer, some old 90s pop song. Too cheerful for the way my chest felt like it was caving in. I pushed the door open without knocking. The smell of alcohol, cheap perfume, and cigarette smoke hit me all at once. A few people were hanging out in the living room, laughing and playing some drinking game. No one even looked up at me, which made me feel like a ghost in my own story. I scanned the room, but she wasn't there. My eyes darted to the hallway, the same hallway I saw her disappear into earlier. My heart thumped so hard I could feel it in my throat. I took a step forward, then another, my hand brushing the wall for balance. That's when I saw her. She came out of one of the rooms with the guy in the leather jacket trailing behind her. Their faces were too close, their smiles too intimate. She didn't see me at first. She was too busy whispering something to him. But when she finally looked up, Her expression changed like a switch had been flipped. Her smile died instantly, and for a moment, she just froze. Alan, what are you doing here? She asked, her voice shaking slightly. I came early, I said, my voice sounding calmer than I felt. My throat was dry, and I could taste that metallic tang of adrenaline. You didn't answer your texts. She opened her mouth like she was about to explain something, but the guy stepped closer, his hand still half raised as if he'd been about to touch her again. He looked at me with this smirk, like he already knew who I was and didn't care. Something about that expression made my stomach twist. I wanted to scream, to demand an explanation, but the room around us felt like it had gone silent. Every other voice, every laugh from the living room, all of it faded into nothing. It was just me, her, and him. And that's when something completely unexpected happened. She stepped toward me, but instead of apologizing or saying anything, she grabbed my arm and pulled me outside. She didn't even look at him. She didn't say a word until the door closed behind us. Her hand was trembling when she let go of me. Alan, she whispered, you can't be here. You don't understand. Just leave, please. I stared at her, feeling my blood boil. What don't I understand, Marissa? Who the hell is he? She looked over her shoulder, her eyes wide like she was scared. Not of me, of something else. And for the first time that night, I realized there was something bigger happening than just a drunken flirtation. I stood there on the porch, staring at her like I didn't even know who she was anymore. The music inside thumped faintly through the walls, but it felt miles away compared to the tension between us. Marissa's face was pale, her eyes darting around as if someone might overhear us. She wasn't angry. She wasn't embarrassed. She looked terrified, and that scared me more than anything I'd seen tonight. Marissa, talk to me, I said, my voice breaking somewhere between desperation and rage. Who is that guy? What's going on? Just tell me the truth. She pressed her lips together, her fingers trembling as she ran them through her hair. Alan, please, I can't do this right now. You need to leave, okay? Just get in your car and drive home. What are you talking about? I stepped closer, refusing to let her dodge me. You disappear into a room with some guy I've never seen. You don't answer my texts, and now you want me to leave? No, I'm not going anywhere until you tell me what's happening. She swallowed hard, and for a split second, I saw tears welling in her eyes. But before she could answer, the door creaked open behind her. The guy in the leather jacket stood there, leaning against the frame like he owned the place. He had this lazy grin, the kind that makes your blood boil, because it's meant to make you feel small. Is this your husband? He asked casually, like I was some minor inconvenience. You didn't tell me he'd show up this early. I clenched my fists, my entire body trembling. Who the hell are you? But Marissa stepped in front of me before I could take another step. Alan, please, just go, she whispered, her voice cracking. You don't know what you're walking into. Then tell me. I snapped. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like I'm watching my wife sneak around with some. Stop, she cut me off, her voice sharp but shaky. It's not what you think. He's not. He's not who you think he is. I stared at her, trying to read between the lines of her panic. It wasn't guilt I saw. It was fear. Real, bone-deep fear. The guy smirked and stepped out onto the porch, his presence like a dark shadow falling over both of us. You should listen to her, Alan, he said, almost mockingly. This isn't your scene. Go back to your car. Go home. You don't want to be part of this. That was the moment I realized this had nothing to do with a normal party. I glanced past him into the house and noticed something I hadn't before, a locked door at the end of the hallway, with a faint glow of light beneath it. And for some reason, Marissa's eyes kept flicking in that direction, like she was silently begging me not to notice. What's behind that door? I asked, my voice low. The guy's smirk faded just enough to make me think I'd hit a nerve. He shifted his stance slightly, blocking my view. Don't worry about that, he said. It's none of your business. Alan, Marissa whispered, her voice trembling. Please, let's just go. I'll explain everything, I promise. But we can't do this here. I looked at her, then at him, then back at that locked door. And in that moment, I knew something was seriously wrong, something she wasn't telling me. I felt this sharp, gut-wrenching instinct to push forward, to find out what she was hiding, even if it shattered everything I thought I knew about her. I don't know what possessed me, but I pushed past Marissa and stepped back into the house before she could stop me. I didn't care if I made a scene. My blood was boiling, my mind buzzing with questions I couldn't ignore anymore. The guy in the leather jacket moved fast, stepping in front of me with this smug half-smile that only made me want to put him through the wall. "I said you don't want to be here," he muttered, his tone sharp now, like a warning. "This isn't for you." "For me?" I shot back, my voice louder than I intended. "This is my wife. My life. Who the hell do you think you are?" The people in the living room finally started noticing us. A few of them stopped their game and glanced over like they were trying to figure out what drama they'd just stumbled into. Marissa grabbed my arm, her nails digging into my sleeve. "Alan, please. Please, just come outside. You don't know what's going on here. You're not supposed to." "Not supposed to what?" I snapped, pulling my arm free. My eyes locked on that hallway again, that damn door at the end, with its faint strip of yellow light glowing underneath. Something about it gnawed at me. Why was it locked? Why was she so afraid of me seeing it? I stepped toward the hallway, but the guy moved again, planting himself between me and the door. He wasn't smiling now. His face was hard, his jaw tight. "You don't want to open that," he said, his voice lower, quieter, almost like he was daring me to ignore him. I stared at him, my pulse hammering in my ears, and for a split second, I felt something I hadn't expected: hesitation. Not because I was scared of him, but because of the look on Marissa's face. It wasn't guilt, it was something worse. She looked like she was begging me to stop, not because she was cheating, but because if I kept going, I'd see something I couldn't unsee. "What's behind that door, Marissa?" I asked, my voice cracking a little. "Tell me right now." She shook her head, her lips trembling. "Alan, please, you have to trust me. If you open that door, everything changes. I can't protect you if you..." "Protect me?" I repeated, my voice hollow. "From what?" The guy sighed, like he'd lost his patience. "You're really not that smart, are you?" he muttered. Then he reached into his pocket and pulled out a key. "Fine. You want to see? Be my guest. But don't say I didn't warn you." Marissa's eyes widened, and she shook her head violently. "No, don't you dare," she snapped, but he just laughed, tossing the key into his hand like it was nothing. He held it out toward me. I took it. My hand was shaking so bad I could barely fit the key into the lock. The hallway behind me had gone dead silent. Everybody in the living room had stopped talking now. I could feel their eyes on me, like they were waiting for me to ruin my own life. When I finally turned the key and pushed the door open, the light hit my face, and I swear my stomach dropped through the floor. I didn't understand what I was looking at first. There was no party inside this room. No laughter, no music. Just something I never expected to see in a suburban house, something that made me step back involuntarily. It was a small room, but the walls were lined with photos. Hundreds of photos. My face, my car, my office, even our house. Every single picture was of me, taken from angles that made my skin crawl. Some of them were recent, some from years ago. And then I saw the center of the wall, a massive photo of me sleeping in our own bed. I turned to Marissa, my voice barely above a whisper. What is this?" She looked at me with tears streaming down her face. "Alan," she said, "you weren't supposed to find out this way. But you need to listen to me now, and you need to trust me, even if nothing makes sense yet." I stood frozen in the doorway, staring at that wall like my brain was refusing to process it. The photos weren't just random snapshots. They were organized, labeled. There were notes scribbled underneath some of them, dates and times written in red ink, and arrows pointing to things I didn't even notice about myself. One of the pictures had me standing in front of my office building last Tuesday morning, coffee in hand, completely unaware someone was watching me. Another one showed me inside the grocery store, reaching for a box of cereal. The timestamp on that one was from 3 days ago. Whoever had been taking these photos wasn't just following me, they'd been close. Too close. "What the hell is this, Marissa?" My voice cracked as I stumbled backward, nearly tripping over the threshold. My chest felt tight, and for a terrifying second, I thought I was going to pass out. I turned to the guy in the leather jacket. "Did you do this? Are you stalking me?" He laughed, but it wasn't the kind of laugh you hear at a party. It was low and sharp, the kind of sound that makes your skin crawl. "Not me, Alan," he said, crossing his arms like he was enjoying my panic. "But it's cute that you think this is just about you." I whipped my head toward Marissa. "Explain this. Right now?" She closed her eyes, took a shaky breath, and stepped into the room with me. "Alan, I swear to you, I was trying to keep you safe," she said, her voice trembling. I didn't want you to see this because I knew how you'd react. You always think the worst, and this isn't what you think it is. I gestured to the wall of photos, my hands shaking. What else am I supposed to think? Someone's been watching me, taking pictures of me while I sleep. What the hell is going on, Marissa? She hesitated, her eyes darting to the guy like she was silently asking for permission to talk. He just smirked and leaned against the doorframe, saying nothing. That smirk sent a jolt of anger through me. I grabbed the nearest photo and ripped it off the wall. Is this you? I shouted, holding it up in front of his face. Did you take this? No, he said casually, but I know who did. Before I could press him, Marissa grabbed my arm. Alan, please, you need to calm down. You're not in danger, okay? Not like you think. This is complicated. Complicated? I nearly laughed, but it came out as a choked sound. Marissa, this is insane. Why are there photos of me everywhere? Who is this guy? She hesitated again, and that hesitation made me snap. I yanked my arm free and stormed toward the guy, my hand curling into a fist. He didn't flinch. He just stared at me with this cold, almost pitying look, like I was too clueless to be worth hitting back. Alan, he said slowly, you don't want the answers to the questions you're asking. Trust me. Oh, I do, I shot back. I want to know everything. And if you don't tell me, I swear. Alan, stop. Marissa screamed, stepping between us. Her voice cracked with desperation, and for a second, I barely recognized her. You have to listen to me. If you open your mouth one more time, if you push this any further, you're going to regret it. I'm trying to protect you from something you can't fight. The room went silent again. Even the people in the living room were gone now, like they'd vanished into thin air. It was just us, the photos, and this suffocating feeling that something bigger, darker, was closing in. I stared at Marissa, and for the first time that night, I saw something in her eyes I couldn't name. It wasn't fear of me. It wasn't guilt. It was like she was terrified of what might happen next, like there was some secret neither of us could control, something far worse than a cheating scandal or a fight. I lowered my voice. Marissa, what did you get us into? She didn't answer. She just looked at the guy, who gave her a slow nod. Then she turned to me and said the words that made my stomach turn to ice. Alan, those photos? They weren't taken by him. They were taken by someone who's been watching both of us. And they're closer than you think. Her words hung in the air like a guillotine, each syllable slicing away at what I thought I knew. Someone watching us. The idea made my stomach churn. I turned in a slow circle, staring at all the photos plastered on the walls, realizing some of them weren't even of me. There were a few of Marissa, candid shots of her walking to her car, standing at our mailbox, even inside our kitchen. My chest tightened as I spotted a photo of both of us taken through our living room window, sitting on the couch last week. I remembered that night. We were watching a movie, blissfully unaware that a camera lens was staring at us from outside. Who? I demanded, my voice raw. Who is doing this? And why the hell are you standing here like this is normal? I turned to the guy, pointing at him like I was ready to tear him apart. Do you know who's behind this? He shrugged, annoyingly calm. I do, he said, and his smirk returned, though it looked darker now, like he enjoyed holding the upper hand. But the question is, does she? Marissa flinched at his words, and I noticed her hands trembling again. She turned away from me, like she was trying to find the right words, but couldn't. Alan, she whispered, I didn't want you to see this because it's connected to me. My past. Things I thought I'd buried years ago. I stared at her like she'd just confessed to burning down our house. Your past? What does your past have to do with someone stalking me? She closed her eyes, as if bracing for impact. Before I met you, she said slowly, I was involved with people I shouldn't have been. People who did things, illegal things. I got out, Alan. I swore I was done. But they don't just let you leave. They watch you. They watch anyone close to you, waiting for a mistake. These photos. It means they've found me again. I shook my head, disbelief clawing at my mind. This is insane. What? They're just taking pictures. Why not come to the house? Why not? They already have, she interrupted, her voice breaking. Those photos in the bedroom? The ones of you sleeping? I didn't take them, Alan. Neither did he. She glanced at the guy in the leather jacket. That's why I asked him to come tonight. He used to be one of them. He knows how they work. My jaw dropped. Wait, you invited him? To what? Protect you? Her face twisted with guilt. To protect us. I knew they'd be watching. I didn't think they'd get this close. Not this soon. I didn't want you to know because I knew you'd panic, and I was trying to handle it before you got dragged in. Dragged in. Those words rattled around in my skull. My hands were sweating, my pulse pounding like a war drum. So what now? What the hell are we supposed to do? Call the police? The guy laughed, a short, humorless sound that made me want to punch him. The cops. They'll just make things worse. These people aren't the kind of folks who leave evidence lying around. You call the cops, you'll be lucky if they don't decide to burn your house down just to make a point. My chest tightened as I stared at him. Then what? You just want me to sit here while some creep takes pictures of me sleeping? Marissa reached out for my hand, but I pulled back instinctively. I didn't know if I could even look at her the same way. Alan, I need you to trust me, she said, her voice soft and pleading. If we leave right now, I can take you somewhere safe. He knows a place. We can figure out how to deal with this together, but you have to stop asking questions and just listen to me. For a moment, I felt like I was standing at the edge of a cliff. My wife, the woman I thought I knew better than anyone, had just dropped a bombshell that our lives were being monitored by some shadowy group tied to her past. And now, she was asking me to follow her into some unknown plan with a man I didn't trust. My gut was screaming at me not to move. But then I caught sight of one particular photo on the wall. It was taken from the driveway, through our living room window, and in the reflection of the glass, I saw something that made my blood run cold. A figure. A hooded figure. And the timestamp was from just 3 hours ago. Marissa, I whispered, my throat dry. If they were outside our house tonight, who's watching us right now? I felt the weight of that question crush me. Who was watching us right now? The hooded figure in the reflection wasn't just some distant threat anymore. It was close, too close. The thought made my skin crawl. Marissa grabbed my hand, this time so tightly I couldn't pull away. Her eyes were fierce now, no longer filled with fear, but with this determined fire I hadn't seen in years. Alan, she said firmly, we're not staying here another minute. Trust me, we're getting out, and we're ending this tonight. The guy in the leather jacket nodded. She's right. I know where they keep the surveillance feed. If we move now, I can erase every trace of you two before they decide to make their next move. I stared at him, still unsure whether I wanted to punch him or thank him. Why are you helping us? He sighed, his smirk gone, replaced by something almost human. Because I owe her. She saved me once when I didn't deserve saving. Consider this me paying her back. The next hour blurred into chaos. We left the party, got into my car, and drove across town to a storage facility he claimed they used. My heart pounded with every passing streetlight, but there was this strange sense of relief building in my chest. I wasn't just standing by anymore. I was doing something. Marissa sat beside me, holding my hand the whole time, and for the first time in months, I felt like we were on the same team again. When we got there, the guy moved fast. He broke into a unit with a crowbar and, to my shock, he wasn't lying. Inside were boxes of hard drives, folders, and cameras, all labeled with names. Not just ours. Dozens of people, families, couples, strangers. A sick web of lives under surveillance. Marissa and I stood frozen, staring at the wall of faces. I saw our photos again, but this time I wasn't filled with fear. I was filled with anger, the kind that pushes you to do something you never thought you could. I grabbed a box and started ripping the photos apart, tearing our faces into shreds. The guy smashed the hard drives one by one. Once these are gone, he said, you're free. They can't use this against you anymore. The sound of plastic cracking and photos ripping was oddly cathartic. Marissa was crying, but not from fear. These were tears of relief. When we left that place, leaving nothing but a pile of broken equipment behind, it felt like we were finally stepping out of a nightmare. We drove home as the sun was coming up. The streets were empty, painted gold by the early morning light. Marissa leaned her head on my shoulder and whispered, I'm sorry. For all of it. I should have told you the truth from the start. I just didn't want my past to ruin our future. I tightened my grip on her hand. We'll make a future, I said. But no more secrets. Not anymore. When we got home, I half expected to feel scared again. But instead, I felt something else, a strange calm, like we'd survived something meant to break us. The house looked the same, but I wasn't the same man who had sat outside that party, doubting everything. I realized that, for all the fear and madness of that night, it had forced us to face the truth, and fight for each other. As I stood in the doorway, watching the sunlight spill across our living room, I turned to Marissa. She smiled at me, really smiled, the way she used to. And I knew, somehow we'd be okay.